Hello, families. My name is Mike Stewart. I'm the principal at the museum school, and I want to welcome you to this virtual open house that we are sharing. I am really thankful for your interest in the museum school, thankful for your attention to this presentation, and I hope that you learn a good bit about the museum school as we go through a number of slides, give you kind of the history, the background, the structure, all of the important information about the museum school. At the end of the presentation, I'll have my contact information up, and you are welcome to email or reach out to me with any questions that you might have as well. So let's just jump in. The museum school has a long history in the Avondale Estates area, going back to the early 2000s when the formation of the Avondale Education Association was comprised. It was founded in 2003. Originally, it was an organization made up of volunteers from the community, parents, retired teachers and administrators, neighbors, and the idea was originally to support the local schools, to provide resources and volunteer to support the local schools. But as they came together, they realized that there was this option to form what's called a charter school. And in exploring that option, they decided, hey, we could come in and we could kind of design a school like we would like to have. And so from this grassroots effort of community members and parents and retired teachers and administrators came the idea for the museum school. In June of 2008, some of the charter school activities began, and shortly after that, we opened our doors for the first year as a commissioned charter school, meaning we were directly under the state of Georgia. After a year of operating as a commissioned charter school, there was some legislation that went out that said, okay, commissioned charter schools are not really constitutional. And that was being challenged, but at the same time, we didn't want to be without a charter. So we did join DeKalb County Schools at that particular time as a local charter school of DeKalb County. Since that time, we have been a local school, local charter school of DeKalb County. Also, since that time, it has been reversed, and charter schools, commissioned charter schools, are now constitutional again. But we've maintained that local status with DeKalb County over the last 10 years. And we've been able to grow our enrollment. We've been able to maintain a healthy enrollment and a healthy performance level throughout that time of being a locally approved school of DeKalb County. But the biggest point of emphasis that I want to make is that from its very inception, we were the result of a grassroots effort from the community. And that's going to come up again later in the presentation. I'll remind you of that when we talk about parental involvement. But that has just been a cornerstone of our school since the very beginning. The mission of the Museum School of Avondale Estates is to inspire students, teachers, and the community to collaborate to develop strong critical thinking, interpersonal, and academic skills in our students, which will prepare them for real-world success. There's a couple of terms that I really do want to point out there. Number one is that word collaborate, and you can see that it's students, teachers, and the community collaborating, and that's what it's been, again, since the very inception of the school, to where we have this very collaborative nature that we use to develop critical thinking skills, interpersonal, academic skills that prepare our students for real world success. And that is the ultimate goal. We're not trying to get them to some test at the end of the year or anything like that. We want to prepare them for real world success. Yes, we believe they're going to be successful in taking those tests as well, but we want to look beyond those various assessments and prepare them for success outside of the four walls of a school building. Behind that mission statement and undergirding all of our work are our school's core values. We have 6 of them. They are responsibility, respect, sustainability, cooperation, creativity, and kindness. Those core values are at the heart of our work. They are not just words written on paper or shown on a screen. They are living and breathing values inside of our school. You will often see our students and our teachers using them in conversation with one another. They are interwoven into the curriculum, and they are an integral part of the school day and the routines and systems and procedures that we have throughout the school. Our students are recognized for their demonstrations of these values at various different types of celebration assemblies and through Explorer tickets and the like, that just really highlights how they are doing and how they have internalized and how they are modeling these core values together. You may be wondering, when you hear the title of museum school, you may be wondering, what in the world is a museum school? And that would be a fair question. We are the only museum school in the state of Georgia. But though we are the only museum school in the state of Georgia, museum school is not a new or unproven model. And in fact, it is a very innovative, proven model, and there are over 40 museum schools across the country. So what is a museum school? It is a combination of a lot of things. It's one at the heart of constructivist model, where students get to work with educational experts, and they get to work in a collaborative fashion to build their understanding of key academic standards. We do use the Georgia Standards of Excellence as a public school in the state of Georgia, but the mode in which we go about studying those standards is very different, because we build our understanding through this constructivist model. It is a project-based learning format. So at the at the heart of our work is not just about creating, filling in worksheets and memorizing information, but it's about using the knowledge that we have learned to create and to synthesize and to model things, and to demonstrate that learning in real-world ways. And through that project-based learning, what they do is they create real-world projects over the course of the school year. Our school year is organized into quarterly units or themes. So every 9 weeks is a unit, every unit is governed by a particular theme. It's either a science or a social studies theme that it's governed by. Over the course of those units, our students participate in what are called bi-weekly learning expeditions. Not to be confused with field trips, but these expeditions is where our students visit our partners and other sites on average every other week, and they are focused, they're structured, they're pre-planned, they're organized. I'm going to talk a little bit about those curricular partners in just a second, but they are really structured to coincide and to drive home the learning that they're doing in their classroom, and to show the learning that they're doing in their classroom in very real, tangible ways that they can see and touch and feel. During the course of the unit, they also reflect on their learning by creating individual travel journals. And those travel journals can include graphic organizers, wanderings, drawings, fiction and nonfiction writings, reflections, anything that allows them to express their knowledge of the material that they are learning at that particular time. And those travel journals really do become the student's textbook for the year, for that 9-week period. At the end of the school year, they'll have 4 travel journals that they will compose the learning that they have done over the course of the year. And then what it's all culminating up to, so all of the expeditions, all of the projects they're creating, all of the travel journals that they are creating, it's all culminating in what we call exhibit night that happens at the end of each unit. And exhibit night is a magical time where our school literally becomes a museum of all of the students' projects and travel journals and work that they have done over the last 9 weeks. Those exhibits, they might include museum pieces or labels or speeches, monologues, performances, skits. All of those things might be a part of those exhibits. Our students serve as the docents. It's a completely student-ran event where students are describing their exhibits, describing the learning that they have gone through over the last 9 weeks. They may be performing or singing or a number of different demonstrations to show you the learning that they have gone over the last 9 weeks. I mentioned to you when I was talked about the expeditions, mentioned to you partners. And we do have several different types of partners at the museum school. We have curricular partners, resource partners, and community partners. Our curricular partners are our kind of heaviest hitter partners. These are organizations, museums, and other types of organizations that work with our teachers, myself, other administrators, to develop curriculum that students are going to experience when they are on their site during those thematic units. So they work very closely with our teachers to design very specific programs. For example, Zoo Atlanta is one of our curricular partners. And the example that I like to use is when our first graders are studying reptiles and they go to Zoo Atlanta, they're not just going to go like a traditional field trip and just spend all day at the zoo, see everything that is at the zoo. Now, they're going to go to the reptile exhibit because they're studying about reptiles, and they're going to participate in a particular program that's been designed by the zoo staff and our staff collaboratively on reptiles to help reinforce and extend the learning that they're already doing in their classroom about reptiles. And so that's an example of a curricular partner. Our resource partners, they typically work with myself, other administrators in the building to develop maybe teacher education opportunities, to donate supplies or materials, provide guest speakers. They really serve as a resource bank for us. And then we have community partners, which are available for students to visit occasionally. We may have community partners that are close to the school that students can walk to and be able to experience. They're not so scheduled or structured, and they don't do a lot of the collaboration with the teachers, but are still there and very valuable learning experiences for our students. To be a curricular partner, the organization has to have long-term financial viability. It has to have an effective organizational structure, and it has to have strong leadership and established education department. Because what we are trying to do is create a partnership between the partner and us, where we are collaborating with them to create these educational programs. The benefit for us is that we get these highly focused, very engaging lessons that provide our students these really great experiences. The benefit for them is that they've got teachers really driving their education programs, and they're creating very high value programs for other schools that may be coming to them as well. Plus they know that they're going to see us on a regular basis. So they've got a pretty steady income of students visiting their organization as well. This slide shows a number of our curricular partners: Alliance Arts for Learning, Arts Now, Atlanta Botanical Garden, Atlanta History Center, the Center for Civil and Human Rights, Fernbank Museum of Natural History, the Fox Theater, Georgia Aquarium, the High Museum, the Michael C. Carlos Museum, and Zoo Atlanta. These are all former curricular partners that we have established that work with our staff, and we work with them to develop these very specific programs for our students to be able to experience in their studies, in their thematic studies during each unit. Some key features of our curriculum: it is very hands-on. I mentioned that our students are not just sitting doing a lot of worksheets day in and day out, but they're actually building and creating and making and synthesizing and summarizing and all of those kinds of things that go into a really good constructivist approach. It is interdisciplinary, meaning that several different subjects will be present in any one learning opportunity. It is very common to see lots of reading and writing and math, even in those science and social studies displays. It's also very common to see where they have worked with art or music or Spanish and to complete elements of their projects. So for instance, you might see, like when fourth grade does the solar system, you may see that in art class, they have painted and created models of the different planets that they wear around their necks. And then on exhibit night, they've learned a song and a dance and a skit during a music class about the solar system. And then after it's over with, they'll go and hang those models on their wall and create a model of the solar system on their hallway. And so you can see those different subjects working together to give the students a very in-depth experience with what they are learning. Our curriculum is interactive. Obviously, when we're creating those project-based opportunities and we're working through those hands-on materials, it's very interactive. It's not just passive. It's collaborative. Our students spend the vast majority of their day working collaboratively with other students to create those projects, to answer those questions. It is inquiry-based, so we pose a lot of questions to our students and look for them to create solutions for those questions and find solutions and answers to those questions. And then again, just to emphasize, it is reinforced by local museums and centers and those different curricular partners that we get to visit on a regular basis. Again, every other week, our students are out seeing the things that they are learning firsthand in those museums and centers that we've partnered with on those learning expeditions. Outside of just the general museum model, we do have some academic programs. Now, these are not synonymous with museum school. These are just best practices and curriculum programs that we have found that we feel are very strong. We are a readers and writers workshop school. So we do use the Lucy Calkins units of study for reading and writing to guide those two programs. The workshop model is a model in which the whole group comes together in very short 15-minute mini lessons, and then students split off into differentiated small groups and work on material that is specific to their level, their need, their interest, things of that nature in the classroom. So it provides a much more differentiated learning opportunity for them. We do word study in the younger grades, looking to build their understanding of phonics and the construction of words. And we do Eureka Math from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, which is a very strong math program out of New York, gives students a wide variety of experiences in math and allows them to think mathematically about the world around them. Notice that there is not a formal science or social studies curriculum program listed on the screen. That's because we do not adopt a textbook series for science or social studies. We are a kind of firsthand experience for those. We do use the Georgia Standards of Excellence and their frameworks to guide what we're studying, to give us some, I guess, overarching points that we are going to hit. But we really look at primary source documents. We really look at our experiences in those museums and those different centers that we are going to, running experiments and projects and things of that nature to build our understanding of science and social studies. Those travel journals that I mentioned to you before that collect all of the students' reflections and thinkings about the unit, those really become their textbooks in science and social studies. That's where all their learning is outlined and synthesized and summarized into a one central location. So those travel journals really become the textbooks for science and social studies. Museum School of Avondale Estates is unique in the sense that we're not just an elementary school, we're not just a middle school, we are a school that encompasses kindergarten through 8th grades. As such, we do realize that elementary school students and middle school students, they need different things, and there are certain experiences that are valuable to a middle school. And we want middle grade students to have experiences that they would experience if they were at a traditional middle school that are very age appropriate, developmental appropriate. So we want to honor their developmental stage and that they are different than our elementary students. So for our middle grade students, it is departmentalized classes, which they change classes routinely through the day. They have 6 periods through the day they change between. They have lockers that they have to manage supplies with and be able to navigate locker transitions between classes. They do get a revised uniform that provides them a little bit more flexibility. They have things like advisory groups. They have a house system that helps create community across middle grades. They have a middle grade sports league. We have after school clubs and activities and social events like dances and things of that nature for our middle grades that are more traditional in nature that provide for that developmental need of that age group students. We do extend the museum model of education in elementary. The units are really focused on science and social studies, but in middle school, they end up creating exhibits for each of their subjects: reading, English language arts, science, and social studies, each unit. So we expand that model. Still following the Georgia Standards of Excellence, but expand and give them more opportunities to explore project-based learning, real-world learning across all of their subjects. We do have a couple of advanced courses for high school credit. We have a Spanish 1 credit. We have a coordinate algebra credit that our students can participate in if they qualify to do so. That gives them high school credit. And then they also get to choose their connections courses. All of our middle grade students take 2 connections courses a year. One is a year-long connections and one is a quarterly rotating connection. And they get to choose those each summer for the year ahead. For those of you who may be entering museum school for the first time as middle school students, as we do have those 6th grade lottery seats open, don't have no fear, don't worry. We always do a 6th grade kickoff with our parents and students during the summer before the 6th grade year. The administrators take the parents and families. We talk a little bit about what is different about middle school, what can you see, what is it going to be like, and then the students go with the teachers and they do some team building activities, some get to know you activities, and kind of a welcome to middle grades at the museum school. So whether you've been here for a number of years or whether it's your first year, you'll get that acclimation as you go into the middle grades at the museum school. I mentioned to you earlier when talking about the workshop model that our students are split into differentiated groups. Well, as you can imagine, to split them into differentiated groups based on level and need, that requires a deal of assessment. So just to talk a few moments about our assessment program. At the base level, our teachers are continually assessing students. They're continually doing checks for understanding during the lesson to see how students are progressing with the material they're presenting. And then also on a weekly basis, they're giving formative weekly quizzes, formative assessments on a weekly basis that are very aligned to the standards so that they can give you, parents and students, standards-based feedback and express to you how your student is doing on particular standards inside of the curriculum. We also have diagnostic assessment that then kind of transitions over the course of the whole year. This is the NWEA Measures of Academic Progress Assessment, or MAP assessment. We give it in the fall, the winter, and the spring. It is a norm reference assessment that provides a percentile ranking. It shows what grade level our students are performing with, and it shows their strengths and weaknesses in relative domains inside of a subject. It is great to be able to give to our students and see their progress and how much they are progressing over the course of the year and what areas they still need to grow in. And it allows us to be able to really tailor our instruction to their needs. So that is given to our students. Outside of that, we do participate as a public school in the state of Georgia. We do participate in the state assessment. So we do participate in Georgia Milestones every spring. Our kindergartners do participate in the G-Kids program. That is a requirement of kindergarten programs in the state of Georgia. And we also do all of the applicable special education, English language learner assessments that are required by the state as well. One additional assessment that we have introduced this year is the iReady assessment. That assessment has really come out of this virtual world that we have been in for the last 7 months or so. And I'll talk a little bit about our virtual program momentarily, but the iReady program is a diagnostic program similar to MAP in that you give a fall, winter, and spring diagnostic, but in between the diagnostics, the iReady program creates a learning pathway that students can work on online. So they log into their iReady platform, and there's a pathway that has been a learning pathway that's been created for them based on that diagnostic assessment data. And that has been a really valuable tool for us this year when we're in this virtual platform and we're not seeing students every day. So that was something that we adopted for this year. That has been a really helpful assessment program as well, that allows us to differentiate and meet our students' needs in their learning. Our school has experienced a good bit of success over the last 11 years. In 2019, we were awarded the Academic Georgia Charter School of the Year, a very competitive award given out by the Georgia Charter School Association. And we received that for our stellar academic performances. We significantly outscore the local and state averages in every grade level and every subject on the Georgia Milestones. We are also exceeding the norm on the national measures of academic progress, showing that on average 70% of our students are learning at a faster rate than peers across the state, across the country. We've also collaborated with a number of different universities and colleges to serve as a model for their pre-service teachers and student teachers. Those universities include the University of Georgia, Georgia State University, Agnes Scott College, Clayton State University, Oglethorpe University, Georgia Southern University as well. All of those have been a part of our program. During our history, we have been awarded the Governor's Award for the Arts and Humanities and the Georgia Association of Secondary School Principals Distinguished Breakout Middle School Award. So very recognized over the last 11 years for our success and our academic accomplishments and achievements. In the very beginning, I mentioned how the museum school was the result of a grassroots effort of our community and parents in this area. And I told you that that was going to come up again during the parental involvement portion of this presentation. And we're now at the point where we talk about parental involvement. So I just want to emphasize that key concept is that the museum school is the result of the community. It was the community that came together, that put together the Avondale Education Association, that then decided to form a charter school that then gave birth to the museum school. And since its inception, parental involvement has been a key factor in the success of the museum school. And we ask all of our parents to volunteer a minimum number of hours per school year, which is 15 per child, up to a maximum of 30 hours. There is a number of ways that our parents can get those and fulfill those volunteer hours. People can work arrival and dismissal carpools. They can help serve lunch. They can help teachers make copies. They can help the front desk. They can run booths at Fall Festival or serve on PTO, serve on our board or any of the different board level committees that we have. There are multiple ways in which parents can be involved in the school and fulfill those volunteer hours. But even chaperoning expeditions, going on expeditions and things of that nature, or working on school-wide projects when we have, community cleanup days and we get out there and kind of refill our mulch or pine straw around our beds or things like that. Those things are all that count for volunteering and can count for those volunteer hours. The point is that we just encourage our parents to be active members of our school family. And that's just been something from the very beginning of our school that has paid great dividends for us. And so we want all of you to be very involved in what happens at the school, to feel like you're a part of our team and family. And we feel like the best way to do that is actually just to get in and serve alongside of other parents to meet the needs of our students in our school. I kind of mentioned some things about landscaping and the facilities and things of that nature. We are in a former DeKalb County school building. We do have a 10-year lease with the building. When we originally moved into the building, it had sat vacant for a number of years, so it was not in great shape. The building was originally constructed in 1954, and different buildings were added onto it over the years, with the last one being in 1998. So there's actually 5 different constructions from 1954 to 1998, and then it sat vacant for a while before we moved into it, and it was in pretty bad disrepair. So over the course of our presence in the building, we have done about $5 million in renovations to the building. What we did was we took the portion of the building that we were moving into, that we were going to be utilizing for that particular school year, and we renovated it. So when we were kindergarten through 3rd grade, we occupied a small section of the building. We renovated that section of the building. When we added 4th grade, we renovated that section of the building. When we added 5th grade, we renovated that section of the building until eventually the whole building was renovated. After about $5 million worth of renovations went into it. Beautiful, now updated building that is a very clean and safe and wonderful place for our students to learn. However, a couple of years ago, we realized that we were out of space. We needed a couple more classrooms. And so we took what was the old media center inside of the school building, turned it into 3 classrooms, and built an additional new media center out beside the school. And it's a very innovative, state-of-the-art media center. It has small group rooms, technology, you name it is in there. It's a great place for student learning, for students to go and check out and read books, to work on projects and all of those kind of things. So it was about a $2 million project that was really the capstone of our facilities endeavor. And so now we have a beautiful building with an incredible media center that houses all of our students inside of our building in a very safe, functional, and innovative way. Obviously, when we talk about schools and we talk about school success, it's important to talk about the history and what makes us a successful school. It's important to know that we, have a good facility that keeps students safe, but it's also important to talk about how we recruit teachers and staff recruitment, because our teachers do so much of that work of making sure that our students are growing and learning. And so we focus a lot of attention on attracting and retaining high quality staff. We believe that's just absolutely crucial. And our running rate is over 90% of our staff actually are retained. We keep over 90% of our staff from year to year. Our candidates do participate in a 4-round interview process that includes a performance-based demonstration where we watch them teaching a lesson to students. They submit portfolios and student work samples that document their differentiated instruction, and their student achievement levels are reviewed. So it's an extremely rigorous process for our students, for our staff recruitment, to make sure that we are putting the very best instructors in front of our students. All right, so let's get to some of the kind of questions that you probably have as it relates to you and your family. And one of the big ones is who can attend? And the reality of it is that any student residing inside of the DeKalb County School District can attend. Now, we do have 2 attendance zones. We have Priority 1, which includes those students who reside inside of the Avondale Elementary and Peachcrest Elementary School zones. That is primary area 1, and then focus area 2, which is the remainder of DeKalb County. So during the lottery, what happens is that we pull the numbers from primary area 1 first, and then we pull primary area 2. So just as an example, let's say that kindergarten has 60 spots, because kindergarten always has 60 spots. Let's say that 30 of those 30 people applying had preference. They were a child of a staff member, they were a sibling of a current student, those 30 would get preference. And so if there's 60 spots and there's 30 of them, that means all 30 of them get a spot. Then let's say, so that leaves 30 open spots. Well, then the next level that we'd go to is that primary area number 1, which is those residing in Avondale Elementary or Peachcrest Elementary School Zone. We would pull those first. Now, let's say that there were 20 kindergarten students living in that area. Well, then all 20 of them would get a spot. That would be the 30 preferences, the 20 from primary area number 1 would be 50. That would leave 10 spots that would be open for focus area number 2, which is the remainder of DeKalb County. If there were, let's say 50 of those primary area, well, then there's only 30 remaining spots. So 30 of them would get a spot, 20 of them would be the first on the wait list, and then we would draw from the focus area 2 to fill out the remainder of the wait list. So the attendance zone is all of DeKalb County, but it does have a primary attendance zone of Avondale Elementary and Peachcrest Elementary school zones. Our attendance is also, we do have a weighted attendance as well. And so those who are economically disadvantaged have a higher weight. So their application counts more. And so the way that it works out, and it varies on the number of applicants that we get, but where a traditional student's application counts as one application, somebody from economically disadvantaged background, their application might count as multiple applications. So it'd be the same as where we put 1 token in for somebody who is a more traditional student. We might put 5 tokens in for the person that is economically disadvantaged to weight their application format as well. Our student enrollment period opens in January. It opens once we return from the holiday break, January 5th, 6th, runs through February 12th. It does close on February 12th, so all applications must be received by February 12th to participate in the lottery. Any applications received after February 12th automatically go to the bottom of the wait list. So we have to receive the application before February 12th. There's no advantage to being the first one to submit the application. There's no disadvantage to being the last one, as long as it's submitted between the student enrollment period, which ends on February 12th. Each year, we know that we're going to have 60 kindergarten spots because we don't have a pre-K program that rolls up. We know that we are going to have 6 fourth grade spots because we expand the number of students between 3rd and 4th grade. So we know that we're going to have 6 4th grade spots. And we know that we're going to have 6 6th grade spots because we expand the number of students in the grade between 5th and 6th grade. So those are the known spots. So those are spots that we will always have open. We do a lottery for every single grade though, K through 8th grade. If we have a student spot that is opening in one of those other grades. So for instance, if we know at the time of lottery that a student in 2nd grade is not returning next year, then we will make that spot available during the lottery. Most of the time, however, we don't have that information. Most of the time, people hold on to a spot until they are enrolled in another school somewhere else. We don't typically lose a lot of students from one year to the next, but from time to time, they do move, they do move out of state or something of that nature. We have a spot that's created, but most of the time that happens over the summer. So usually in the lottery, we see 60 kindergarten spots, 6 4th grade spots, and 6 6th grade spots. But we will still run the lottery for all those other grades. It's just all the other grades go straight to a wait list. But what happens is let's say that over the summer, somebody moves, it creates an open spot. Well, then we pull from the first person on the wait list for those grades. It is not the end of the world to be on the wait list. Every year we see students get a spot, come off the wait list, especially once the school year starts. Sometimes people don't want to change schools in the middle of the school year, and so they'll let an available spot go to the next person. And sometimes it can go down a few spots before, go down a few places on the wait list before someone accepts it and makes that change during the school year. But that's how the student enrollment process works. But your big primary things you need to remember is that we have to get the lottery application in by February 12th, or you automatically go to the bottom of the waiting list. And the lottery application is submitted through lotteries. And I'll talk a little bit about that program in just a second, but it's all done online. You can monitor it and you can see your status, everything online. Your notification of whether you got a spot or whether you're waitlist, what number on the wait list you are, is all available to you when you log into your lotteries account. Other topics that might be important to you, we do have a before care program, an after care program. We do participate in the federal lunch program, so we do offer the free reduced lunch rates. We do have a uniform policy. The policy can be found on our website, but in K through 8th grade, we do execute a uniform policy. Our students do get recess all the way from kindergarten through 8th grade. Actually, in the elementary grades, they get 2 20-minute recesses during the day, and then our middle schoolers also get a 15-minute recess as well. In elementary schools, they have 5 exploratory classes, 6 really exploratory classes. They have Spanish, they have art, they have music, they have a STEM class, technology class, they have PE. They also have a health exploratory that they do as well. In middle school, they have a number of connections classes, and those connections classes change from year to year depending on what teachers would like to teach and things of that nature. But they have things like chorus, and they have orchestra. They also have PE. They have technology, drama. Might have journalism, robotics. Any of those kind of things might be a part of the connections program. Our school calendar is always posted on the website. I will tell you that it follows closer to City Schools of Decatur calendar than it does the DeKalb County Schools calendar. We do like the balanced school calendar of the City Schools of Decatur does use, so it does mirror more of that than it does the DeKalb County School calendar. Our school day is 8 to 3. Students can arrive as early as 7:30 if they're not participating in the before care program, obviously. But students can arrive between 7:30 and 8. They are tardy if they are not in their classroom by 8:01. And then we have a staggered dismissal. We typically start elementary dismissal about 2:55 and then middle school dismissal at 3:15. So 8 to 3 is the school day there. Something else that I just kind of wanted to mention while I have you, and it's not on the presentation, but this past year during this pandemic, we've been in an extended period of time in our virtual program. And we've been able to accomplish a lot in our virtual program. I think we've had a pretty unique virtual program, but what we have really tried to do with our virtual program is make sure that we are providing a developmentally appropriate program that meets the needs of the age of learner. And so we didn't want to have kindergarten, first and second graders online staring at a screen all day long in those virtual lessons. Where as we go to middle school, it is important that they have those different classes and they have that different face time with their school. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't do just a blanket program across all of kindergarten through 8th grade, that we really created a virtual program that met the needs of the different age groups of students that we have in our building. We think that we've done that really successfully. We've also wanted to have a program that balanced, hey, we know that we've got parents taking on a lot of this work. We know that they're trying to work jobs and things of that nature at the same time, and we know that they're stressful. So we wanted to make sure that we provided supports, and our counselors have done a really, really amazing job at providing supports to students and their families, and trying to engage them in work and monitor how students are doing during this virtual period. We have typically employed a flex day on Wednesdays as kind of a catch-up day, or make sure that you've got all your work done type of day for our families. And we've said that you could probably expect about 4 hours of work a day to come out of the virtual learning period. And it could be a variety of watching live lessons or recordings or independent work that formulates that. And obviously that amount of work does kind of scale a little bit. You might see kindergarten, first graders closer to 3, where you may see, 7th and 8th graders around 5 or 6. And what meets the need of their developmental appropriate stage. So we've definitely put the virtual learning in place. We have that now as a great tool. So let's say that we have to go virtual at any point in time in the future, or we have to remain virtual. We have a good solid program that we can fall back on, that we can use where we don't feel like students are being significantly impacted in their academic progress, that we can actually continue their academic growth and progress moving forward. So we've been really, really pleased with our virtual learning program that we've created for the last few months during this pandemic. On the screen, you can just see some fast facts about the museum school. We opened in 2010, August of 2010. We do serve kindergarten through 8th grades, 588 students. We do limit class sizes in kindergarten through 3rd grade to 20 students. In 4th and 5th, we have class sizes of 22. And in those grades, we have class sizes of 24. We offer gifted, special education, early intervention programs. So just all of those kinds of things that I think we've talked about during this presentation. Just want to reiterate those facts about our school. Lotteries is the program that we use to run our lottery. You can see the web address there. That is where you will go to complete your student enrollment. Again, it is due by February the 12th. So you will want to make sure that you get your application completed, your lottery application, before February 12th. And the instructions to doing so will all be on our website and be very easy to follow. If you're having any difficulty with it at all, feel free to connect with us. Reach out to us. We can help you go through that process and make sure that you get your application in. I want to say thank you. I know this was a fairly long presentation and probably difficult to just watch a screen for this amount of time, but I do want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your interest in the museum school. If I can answer any questions for you, again, my name is Mike Stewart. My contact information is on the screen. The contact information of our executive director, Dr. Catherine Kelball, is also on the screen. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have through this process. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. Other than that, I just really appreciate your attendance and appreciate your time, and looking forward to getting to know you and seeing you in the school soon. Thanks and have a great time.